How did you become a millionaire? The moment I turned 14 and went into high school, my parents told me I needed a job. So when my friend told me she could get me a babysitting job, I took it. I was excited, but as soon as I showed up to the house, I instantly noticed something was off about this mom. I could barely hear her, so I had to keep adjusting my hearing aids. But just before she left, she says, "Oh, and just so you know, we have cameras in the house." Wait, cameras? Does she seriously have cameras inside the house? I tried to just laugh it off, saying, "Okay, you can watch all you want, I guess. I'm just gonna be sitting here watching the baby." But she didn't laugh. She looked even more suspicious now and said, "I'm gonna need you to call me every half hour until I get back, and I'm gonna be watching you." I couldn't believe how overprotective she was, but she finally left. But not even 10 minutes later, she calls yelling, "Is she okay?" I had to pull the phone away from my head and told her, "Yep, still just laying here." "Okay, and make sure you flip her over. I don't want her laying on her left side." Wait, how did she know that? And that's when it clicked. She was literally looking at me on her cameras. I nervously looked around, but didn't want to seem like anything was wrong. There were so many baby monitors in that room, I kept having to adjust my hearing aid because they kept picking up the signals. I just sat there watching the girl, but eventually I realized I really had to pee. I told myself she'd be fine if I left her sleeping in the crib for 45 seconds, so I stood up to go to the bathroom quick. I thought it'd be fine because the mom was probably busy at whatever she was doing. But before I could even stand up, I heard the front door burst open. Someone was running through the house, and I panicked thinking we were getting robbed. But as soon as I ran back into the baby's room, I saw the mom. "Hey, just what the hell do you think you're doing? She could have died." I started apologizing immediately, saying I really had to pee and it only took less than a minute. She wasn't having it. I told her the baby was fine, she was asleep, and I had just been sitting there watching, but she didn't care one bit. She got close to my face and said, "One more slip up and you're never coming back here. I'm not paying you to sit on your phone." I wanted to say something back, but I knew my parents would kill me if they knew I got fired. She finally left, but I felt like I was being watched by a psychopath. If I did virtually anything, she'd probably burst back in and threaten my life. I had to stare at the baby for 2 more hours, knowing she was watching me on the cameras, but my hearing aids wouldn't stop bugging me. I was about to adjust them when I heard the front door again. The woman rushed in saying, "Oh my God, is my baby okay?" I stood up and told her the baby was completely fine. She was sleeping. Nothing happened. The mom walked past me and looked into the crib, then looked around the room like she was searching for something wrong. When she didn't find anything, she just went to her purse and started counting out my money. I was relieved. I just wanted to get out of there. I turned around to say bye to the baby one last time, but since my hair was getting in the way, I put it into a ponytail. But as soon as I turned and looked at the baby, I heard a gasp. I was confused, but then a second later, I felt her grab my head. She yells, "You were listening to music?" And in that moment, I felt her grab my head. I didn't know what was going on and was honestly in shock. But out of nowhere, I instantly felt the worst pain in my life. The entire left side of my head felt like it was about to explode, and I realized what happened. This psycho woman had just ripped out my hearing aids thinking they were headphones. My hearing aids connect directly to my ear, so she actually ripped those out too. I was in so much pain, I instantly dropped to the floor, grabbing my ears, the ringing sound filling my head. "Oh my God, what did you do?" I yelled, but as I looked up at her staring at me, and then back at the eardrum she just ripped out of my head, I felt my vision fading. That was the last thing I remember before I passed out. I woke up in the hospital to my mom crying, saying she should have never made me work at such a young age, but the good thing is that I'll never have to work again, because that lawsuit was ginormous.